My name is Frances Castaneda-Dyson. I'm president of the Houston Easton Chamber of Commerce, and it's again honor to welcome you to our Feel Good Friday, June 12th. You are in for a big treat. Two of my favorite entrepreneurs here in the East End are going to talk to you today. So get prepared. But first, we're going to introduce you to Marco Gonzalez with the Gonzalez Law Group, and then also Andrew Kaldis with Kaldis. Anyhow, a real estate guru. But we're going to first hear from Marco Gonzalez, again, managing partner, trial attorney at the Gonzalez Law Group. Marco followed his father's Ricardo Gonzalez footsteps by devoting a career to fight for the legal rights of others. His passion for helping others has led him to create a group, the Gonzalez Law Group, PLLC, to one of the fastest growing law firms in Texas. He has a passion for building one of the best law firms in the country, and today you're going to hear about more of that growth. He has purchased a two-story building at 7151 Old Office City Drive here near I-45 and Woodridge. Marco is going to tell you about his journey and to going from one employee to many, and how he's revitalizing the neighborhood and goal to hiring more people, and the importance of giving back to the community. So it's an honor to welcome you, Marco. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Frances.
You're so welcome. We're going to start, before you do that, with a short little video that we have, and then you can talk about your building. Would that be okay?
Sure, that'd be perfect.
Well, when I started in law, I just wanted to help people. At the beginning, I couldn't be picky and choosy. I never worked for another law firm, so I just started my law firm up. As soon as I became licensed, I started it up, and I just, hit the streets running. I used to meet people at Starbucks. I didn't even have an office. I used to meet people at Starbucks when I first started, but then I knew I wanted to build something big. I decided to look out and buy a building so we can grow even more, because we're already at capacity at the 38 people with the Gonzalez Law Group, and this facility is actually where I first started off at. I'm from the southeast part of town, so I know this Gulf Gate area very well. I want to help this area. As you can see, the city is connecting all the freeways. The Gulf Gate area has been coming up over the past several years, and it's going to continue to come up, and I'm glad that I'm going to be able to play my part in revitalizing this area.
Congratulations on that beautiful building. We just want to hear about your journey, how you got started in the law firm or to become a lawyer, and then what made you buy this building.
Okay, well, going through some of my dad is an attorney, so I've been around I guess the legal industry since I was very young. My dad always wanted me to be an attorney, always took me to the courthouse, and but that wasn't my I guess passion growing up, but after separated. I've got two sons, a 15-year-old and a 2-year-old. But when my 15-year-old was 2, me and his mom, split up, and then it was an ugly, custody battle. And so life experiences, ended up changing my career path, and so I really wanted to, help people in the family law world, and wanted to, really make a difference and help people, especially people going through situations like, I went through on, splitting up, and, just it could change, a family dynamic, and, and because of those passions, because of my own personal, events, then that led me to change my career path and become an attorney, so when I first started about 6.5 years ago, I just was like in the video said, meeting people at Starbucks, and it was just kind of weird if they didn't show up. Then I drove across town and just waited, called them, left voicemails. I've been waiting an hour. Are you coming or not? And then have to drive home all sad if they didn't show up, because I knew I just needed to get some clients to show them what I can do. And then if they did show up, they didn't really want to tell me everything that was going on in their life where, at a Starbucks with people walking around. So, after, maybe about 4 months of that, but I was able to get some clients and got a little bitty tiny office. It was like 400 square foot, like the size of my current office, right now, the whole thing, and just started growing from there. I started doing, I couldn't be picky and choosy at the beginning, so I was taking on divorce cases, I was taking on immigration cases, probate cases, doing wills, estate planning, doing car accident cases. I was doing, and not just here in Harris County. I mean, anything that I found, I was driving all over the place my first year. But I started, I guess, giving everything that I have to every single client. Doesn't matter if it was a big issue or a small issue, I gave them everything that I had. And, these people started sending me more, and then people would start coming back to me for different issues, and it just started growing. I had to hire one person, and then two, three, four, then when the end of the first year at my first office, there was like five of us working in, like, it was 475 square foot office. It was tiny. We're squished in there, and I was like, I'm gonna find us a bigger spot, and that we moved to the location we're at now. And but in the past, the 4 years that we've been here, we've just been growing and getting more space and more space and more space, at the location where we're at now. And now there's 38 of us, here at the law firm, and just, a little over 6 years. And so, I started getting a lot of people for family law cases and personal injury cases, immigration cases. And so now I just have different departments, different divisions within, the Gonzalez Law Group. And so I've got lawyers and paralegals that only do immigration. I got lawyers and paralegals that only do, personal injury, lawyers and paralegals that only do family law, so it's like different divisions, like smaller law firms within the bigger law firm. And so it really helps people out when they can, because sometimes things cross, I mean, things that areas of law cross that, you can't even think of that they're going to cross, and then they do. And then it's good that, other lawyers, different departments can now, take the baton and, keep running with the situation or solve, other issues where other law firms, if they only do one or two areas of the law, if a third area of law comes up, they need it. They tell them they got to go find another lawyer to solve that little issue, with what's going on with their life. But here, under one roof, we can take care of everything. And but our growth has been stunted because, with the space we have now is 38. We've been at 38 for probably about a year and a half, because we ran out of room. But so that's really what led me to want to buy, a property. And that's it's almost about 2.25 acres there at the 7151. So I'm in the East End now, and we've been with the East End. I've been very proud, to be a part of the East End Chamber and to deal with you, Francis. You've just been a joy, the past few years that I've known you. And we're so excited to be moving, closer to downtown inside the 610 loop. And we're going to be taking over the whole second floor for the law office, and they'll be able to, we're going to have 92 workstations. So there'll be 92 of us, with the law firm. And I hope to grow to that size by the end of next year. To fill up with the right people in the right departments, where they're needed. And there's not too many law firms in Houston with 92 people. And if they do have 92 people, it took them a lot longer than, 7, 8 years, to get to 92 people. And, we just keep growing, and we want to expand to different cities: San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, El Paso, McAllen, and then other states after that. But we're just excited. We got a helping heart. We know our philosophy is help, everybody, and and it will just keep growing. Just keep growing. Like I don't worry about what other law firms are doing. I don't care what other law firms are doing. Like I know what we need to do to be efficient and to help and to do everything we can to win for every single client. And we just worry about ourselves internally and do the best and be the best. Our growth, says a lot about us and our hearts. And, because if we were losing, if we were not giving proper customer service, then we wouldn't be growing this fast, So
proud of you.
Yeah, we really care, and we just can't wait to get on over there. And we do a lot of events. I don't advertise them or market them that much on, because I'd like to help the community and without, showcasing it. But I mean, we do a lot of toy drives and food drives and back to school supplies and this and that. We're really involved with the community. I really like, helping and giving back, and we'll be able to, at the new location, since it'll be our location, be able to do toy drives and back to school supply things and giveaways, and helping out the community there, on our own property. But yeah,
That's
just
wonderful.
we're very excited. All 38 of us can't wait to get on over there. The renovations should be done. Well, they'll be done in about a week. But the problem with the COVID, the furniture's on back order, or cameras and camera systems and computers, and I mean it's but a lot worse could happen, to a business. So we're planning on being over there at the end of this month in June, but because the delay on the furniture, we're going to be moving over there at the end of next month in July. And we can't wait to have a grand opening and have a party over there as well too.
Congratulations, Marco. I've been to your current building, and you have outgrown yourself. And I'm happy that you'll be on the second floor with a great view of the city from there. But what do you plan to do with the first floor?
On the first floor, I've already got a tenant in there right now, and it was a rentable. It's a 36,000 square foot building. The rentable space, minus the common areas, is about 32,000. But most of it has been, spoken for. I know that we're taking over the second floor, and then some of the first floor has already been spoken for. But we've got about almost 10,000 square feet that I'm going to renovate, but will be available, for businesses on the first floor. So we get a lot of traffic, here where we're at now. Once we get on over there, we're going to have a lot of people coming in and out of that building, hundreds and hundreds of people every day. So, I mean, it'll be a good opportunity for, if there's any business owners looking for some office space, in the East End, right there on 610 and 45. It's a great location. I haven't been shy about renovating. That building. It's a 40-year-old building, and it didn't get much attention the past, maybe 10, 15 years, but I'm completely turning that property around. Completely.
Congratulations. Well, you're revitalizing the area, and that's so well important. I know the Gulfgate Mall was not what it looked like right now, and we're so grateful that HEB came, and Wolf and Company had that great anchor, and now you're across the freeway. We're near where the old Bennigan's, for those of us who used to remember Bennigan's. How important it is to you to know that you are making a difference with revitalizing and employing more people?
I mean, I was born in McAllen, but at 4 years old, my parents moved the family over here to Houston. So, I mean, I grew up, I went to, Garden Villas Elementary, went to A.B. Freeman Elementary right here, in Edgebrook, 45, area, went to South Houston Intermediate and South Houston High School, so, I mean, I'm from the Southeast, part. I grew up here. I love it. Love Houston. I love the Southeast, area. I love the East area. So, I mean, I feel this is my home, so, I mean, I'm very proud to make my home, this area, more beautiful and better. And I mean, I'm a leader of, 37 others. And, it's very important to me. I take it very seriously, being able to provide for, 37, of staff members and employees, and being able to get to 92, I'm happy to know that what I've created, what the work ethic that I've put in, the goals, the vision, that's coming together, is able to provide for this amount of families, and provide jobs. Being able to provide jobs and help people to have a job and know that they have something secure, and they don't have to worry about, the financial stability of, where they're working at, or if a check's gonna clear or bounce or something. I'm happy to have my dedicated staff, and I've got a bunch, this has only been around 6.5 years. I've got several that have been with me over 5 years, a bunch of 4 years, a lot of at least half of my people have been with me at least 3 years. So I mean, I'm like they're sticking and staying, and and working hard, every day, for Houston. So I'm just very proud of my team and very proud to lead, my team as well.
We're super proud of you, and I know that you and your company give back a lot, and you do it quietly, and thank you for doing that. And we've been part of your toy drives, and we look forward to continue doing that right now. But we're going to go ahead and bring Andrew on board, and then afterwards, all three of us are going to come back for some questions and ask how you survived this COVID-19 as a business owner. So thank you so much, Marco, for that wonderful history lesson right there.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you. So now it is my honor to welcome Andrew Kaldis, who has been involved in the Houston real estate business since 1981, and his family roots in the business that extend back to 1952. This history has provided him with extensive experience in his field, and the East End and myself are honored to have him with a Houston developer with the history of restoring historic properties, is planning his newest project here in our area. So we're very honored to welcome you, Andrew, to talk to us about this new project that you have. Welcome.
Thanks, Francis. And if Marco can hear me, great presentation, Marco, and it's great to see what you're doing over there in your building. And obviously you're, doing some renovation, and it's always great just to see what other people are going to be doing in the neighborhood. So I can't wait. I'm going to come over there and check it out when you get moved in. But anyhow, I want to, first thank Francis, thank the East End Chamber for allowing me to present this video and kind of talk to people about what I've been doing on the East Side on the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But
shall we start with the video?
Yeah, go ahead and start with the video, and then we can kind of, I'll chime in on the new project.
Awesome. Here we go. Like I said, Andrew, I drive by this every day.
Oh, great.
That's super impressive. Are you one of the first to have storage containers in a building?
Well, I think, I think I am. I mean, there is actually years ago I was told this, in the medical center, the old Nabisco building, which is kind of an innovative hub, one of the first ones for the medical center, has a single container in there. But I don't know of anybody right now that has done, what I'm doing with having these containers within a large warehouse. There's a lot of container uses. Maybe many of people have seen them at bars or like Eighth Wonder, out where you can sit, or seen, homes being made out of them. But I've kind of had this concept, on the shelf for years. And when I bought the Cameron IRONWORKS building, it just so happened, because of the guidelines that I had to follow within the historic district, or the historic historical state committee, it was conducive to use these in there, because they did not want me, nor did I want to, build walls to block the historical construction or the view of the building on how it was built. The building was actually built in two phases. Cameron Iron Works, when they located there, the original old machine shop that was started by Harry Cameron, obviously, you know, was removed. But the building, what we would call North Cameron, the original, was built in 35. And then they expanded about 5 to 7 years later and built Cameron South, which is the building that you see that kind of protrudes out from the red brick facade. The facade in the front was installed and put in 1935. So they actually built offices within the warehouse and then put that Art Deco front on it. Was not successful in trying to find out who designed that facade. I could not find out. Even reached out to Stephen Fox at Rice. He's a historian. Took some photos of the building years and put it in a book. But anyhow, you know, that would have been nice to see, you know, who was responsible for just doing that facade for him. But anyhow, this building is my 5th project in the East End. I guess, like I said, about 5 years ago, I started on some projects over on Commerce Street. And I've always had my eye on this building. I've done historical redevelopments as well as just traditional redevelopments, but I've always had a passion for, you know, taking interesting buildings, especially ones that are in areas that once they get fixed up, they make an impact on the area. And that's really, to me, the other reward that I get from redeveloping in these transitional neighborhoods. You know, on the flip side, even though I love to do the redevelopment, you know, there is something that I would like to see more of, and that is that these neighborhoods, you know, I'm not a townhome builder, I'm not knocking townhome developers, but I really like to see, you know, more of what they did in the Heights and East End, over in Eastwood, and try to keep and upgrade, you know, the old bungalows. But the point is to really make people appreciate more where they live. And maybe a lot of these people, you know, don't have the finances to try to upgrade and things like that. And so just as a side point, one of the things that I'm gonna do as I get finished here is, you know, I've been reaching out to some of the neighbors, and I'm gonna offer, you know, my dumpster service. And if they want to clean up or have things that they weren't able to get rid of and try to, you know, clean up their yard or whatever, I want to help them out. Because I think, you know, when you make an impact like this on that street, into that neighborhood, you know, it makes people more proud of where they are. So that's kind of just a side point of, you know, some of the things that I get from going in and seeing these areas change. But the building itself, the concept, I've been doing small office spaces, workspaces for probably the last 20 some odd years. I mean, I was kind of doing, you know, creative workspaces before it became really a buzzword now with co-working, et cetera. But anyhow, the main thing that I've always strived for was doing small entrepreneurial type spaces for people that are starting out in business. You know, again, kind of to dovetail off of what Marco said, you know, helping and seeing people that may have an established business or they want to start a business, so you can offer a very reasonable price for somebody to have a small office and have it in really a neat environment, you know, that's, you know, very cool, and offers more to clients that may come in. This particular project, we branded it IRONWORKS. And what we're going to do is, as we mentioned about the containers, is we're going to be putting about 22 containers, and these containers will be marketed as private offices. What I like about it, it has such flexibility. We have a menu, if you would, of options for people, because before the COVID, co-working was becoming very popular, and now it's going to be going through a little transitional stage. So we have the ability to do a little bit of that, but we're not really going to be focusing a lot on the co-working. We're going to stay with what I had always planned on doing, and that is more private space. So until things get better, if I feel like I want to add a little bit where people can come in and just have a desk, I can do that. And that's what's nice about this. I'm not stuck to any one use, but the important point is that it gives an unusual space for a office. It's community oriented, like all my buildings. You have an expansive space, so it's almost like you're in a little mini industrial mall. Because
actually, that's what I feel like.
when you walk around, you're going to have stairs going up to a second level. You can look down, and so it will feel like that. And the whole building is going to be air conditioned and heated, just almost like a Galleria mall.
Yeah.
And obviously you have a lot of glass, and that was something that really had to be studied on how we make sure that people that are officing there are comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think that, we've got the right team that studied that, and we're putting the right systems in. But the other part of the space, so most of the let's say of the what we call phase one, which is what we're looking at now with the front, we're going to have about 5,500 feet of what we call our mercantile area. So when you actually go into the front of the building, what you're seeing, that is the front door. And you will enter into kind of an open market type feel. And in these areas, again, we have opportunities for small retail or coffee bar or small restaurant. And the idea is that if somebody doesn't have the capital to say, go into a space and spend the money to build it out and sign a long-term lease, what I came up with is I said, okay, well, we'll offer some containers, navigation, okay? And just imagine that one of those type of containers within the building that gives somebody an opportunity to do their little dessert thing or deli. But the point is, they're only having to spend money on the infrastructure within the container. I'm supplying the container. I've supplied all of the plumbing, all the grease traps, all of the bathrooms for the whole thing. And so somebody can come there with less capital, but still have, some risk in it. And then they can see how that goes without feeling like they're tied, for years.
And a lot of businesses go out of business because of that. So you're going to be helping.
I can help them and say, okay, look, you're going to put this at risk, but if you want to do a year lease, we can do a year, and then you can renew it. But the point is, you're not having that pressure of going, God, I'm going to be tied up with this thing, and what if it doesn't work?
Right.
That's what gave me kind of this idea, because when you're going in these areas now, little by little, East End is getting restaurants, they're getting bars, but there's still people, it's still kind of unproven. And this was an opportunity that I came up with to lessen that risk. And then hopefully, just like in an office building, et cetera, if a business, starts growing, then you hope to put them in something bigger. So then we have that option to even build them a little bit bigger space, if they grow out of the container. Okay. And then at the same token, if, they can use the container for storage at that point, whatever. But the whole feel of that area will be kind of I don't want to call it a food court, because it's not going to be like all different foods. I mean, we're going to do one thing with, like, if you want to call it restaurant oriented or, whatever. But then I want to see other things, whether they're in the front there or, in other developments in Colorado, they've taken, little artists have come in and leased like a little container and done their small little art show. Because we have a beautiful venue where they spill out, and it feels like it's, they can feel proud that they not only get this little cool space, but they get the use of the building.
Right.
You're part of a complex, a community.
Andrew, I am so honored that you bringing this to our community. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And anyhow, so this is another. So back to that, we'll do a little bit of that. And then, of course, in the red brick building, it's going to be, it's available. It's 6,000 square feet. Unfortunately, I mean, East End, I'll just plug this. It doesn't matter. It's not confidential, but we had worked really hard with the East End Management District, and they were going to move in the building. And unfortunately, because of COVID, et cetera, they just decided to stay where they were. But it was exciting, at least at the time, talking to them, how excited they were, and the time and effort we put into really trying to create a cool office for them. But we're all, we all are still talking. It wasn't there's no animosity. It was just unfortunate, as usual with what we've all experienced because of this virus.
I know.
Anyhow, so here, at Russ, this was the top photo is actually what we call our art bar. And this is going to be really neat. We are close to signing a wine/catering company that's going to be locating here in the front building. And then they are going to be using the art bar for their events that spill out into the parking lot. And they're an established group. I hope to have something signed with them in the next couple of weeks. And that's going to be a real asset to the neighborhood. Of course, at Russ, which is branded Edo Workspace, all the businesses now are coming back. We've been real fortunate. We helped a few during the crisis, and now they're, wanting to get back to work. So
Nice.
we're grateful that they're back and can continue to work in their spaces.
Well, right now we're going to bring Marco back so we can talk about both of you two as entrepreneurs, as business owners, talking about COVID-19, how it's really affected you as a business owner, and how you're having to deal with your employees. So welcome back, Marco. You are unmuted. Good. There you go. Andrew talked about COVID-19, how it really impacted all of us. Marco, we'll start with you. How were you able to manage your employees and as we slowly open back up?
Well, I mean, it was rough from when everything happened, and then the stay-at-home order got put in place. It was a dramatic drop, for me, and the amount of people calling in, and not only amount of like new leads, coming into the law firm, but like literally from like almost one day to another, it was just a lot of our current clients were calling and saying that they got laid off, or, they got furloughed, and so they weren't able to make their payments. And then, so the We have a couple thousand, clients, right now. When a lot of them are calling in and they can't make their payments, and then the leads, started dropping because everybody's at home. People weren't out, you know, and it, I had to send home up to 17 of my employees, so I had to send home half, and it hurt, I mean, I was worried about them every day, the half that we had here, we tried to work from home for like 2 days. That did not work out well. Everybody wanted to come back to the office, and we had to, change things around here, get a bunch more hand sanitizers, like, connected to the
PPE.
walls,
Yeah.
do the I mean, the masks, the gloves, everybody was paranoid. Even the half of the staff that we had here felt like it was still too many. Everybody. It was freaking everybody out. Everybody was freaking out. When everything really started hitting, and but slowly, where I was able to bring back like 1 to 2 people almost on a weekly basis, and then we're back full staff maybe about 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, there was about three, I think, 2 of my staff that were still at home, and I was able to bring those last 2 back about 3 weeks ago. So we're back full force. We're still practicing all the social distancing, guidelines. We're
As
requesting
much as
everybody.
possible, because it's
Yeah,
kind of
as
hard.
much as possible. Yeah, for
Hmm.
us here, I mean, everybody's workstations are more than 6 feet apart, but we're getting a lot of traffic, in and out of here, but we require everybody to, get the hand sanitizer as soon as they come in, and require everybody to have masks. But I mean, it affected us, obviously, and it just hurt having to send home, half of my
Yeah,
staff, and
I
just
know.
work
And you
like
were a good
crazy.
business leader for putting those places in or processes in place. So congratulations on that. I think a lot of other folks can learn from that. But Andrew, you mentioned that you also helped some of your tenants. How challenging was that?
Well, I mean, it is challenging. I mean, obviously, in some of the other properties, when I guess the shutdown on non-essential businesses for like gyms and hair salons and bars and restaurants, all of which I have in various properties, uh, that was shocking, challenging. I mean, the people couldn't open for business. You have a place that's full, and everybody's paying rent, and then a month later nobody can pay rent because their camp open. So, but everybody worked together. The banks, obviously, people have heard, where banks have had to kind of come in and help landlords, and then we in turn, it was a responsibility for everybody, not just us. It was, hey, we're going to help on our end, but we need help,
Hmm.
to maneuver through this, to navigate through it. And so far, like Marco said, little by little, people were able to start opening. They could bring their employees back, if they had a lot of employees, but still, it's like the world stopped for 60 days, and it was shocking. So, um, as far as my own firm, we already had in place the ability to kind of work remotely.
Hmm.
We don't, I don't have a big staff, but everybody worked remotely. And then fortunately, we did apply for a government, well, that loan to help keep everybody working, which I was grateful to be able to get. So I didn't have to send anybody home. They could all, they could work. And so I feel like, we benefited from that.
Hmm.
As far as back to, having to adjust to this new norm in our buildings, um, you know, we had to put in Santa. I was like, okay, I have to stay and on the internet and find out what are the other big buildings doing? What are people expecting? Are they going to be touching a bathroom door? Are they going to be, what's happening? So all the buildings now have sanitizers, when you walk in. Um, all the buildings On the bathrooms, we're doing, you know, these, you can open the door with your elbow or something, but they have these tow bars where you can push it open. I think we are going to start changing any sinks that don't have already the infrared, you know, where you can wash your hands without touch, because I think those are expectations. Even though people were using those, you know, a lot of these other people like me and some other buildings, it really wasn't expected.
Mhm.
But now it's like, you know, you have to do it, and it's an expectation. I think that people are going to start wanting and even getting into a building. And I'm starting to do research where, like, one of my buildings has where you punch in your code to get in.
Uh,
So is that something? Where are we with that now? You know, you go to the grocery store, it has plastic over it, you know, because everybody was saying the touching. And so now we're like going, well, maybe we may, you know, convert it all to card key, to where people have their card and they don't have to touch anything. That's still early, but just to kind of see where this might lead us and what the expectation is going to be for not only people that are working in the offices or the office space, but the tenants.
right.
So,
Well,
but anyhow,
and it's a lot of learning for all of us. So we're going
yeah,
to learn as we go. But I know both of you have been inspired by your fathers, and I've heard some great stories of you, Andrew, and also of you, Marco. And we'll start with you, Marco. How important, or can you share one of your favorite stories of your dad, who's working with you, I think, right now?
Yeah, you know, my dad had his own law practice, but he was, you know, kind of like a lone wolf. He didn't have an office. You know, my mom, you know, would help keep him organized and everything, and he was fine, you know, running like that for decades. You know, my dad's been you know, he's a very good trial lawyer. He's primarily practiced in criminal defense, only like first and second degree felonies. So the serious, crazy stuff. Um, I mean, I've got, uh, you know, some good. I guess now, you know, I guess some of the stories now is just, you know, now my dad's given up, you know, his own, you know, practice. And, you know, my dad, you know, is now over here fully, you know, with the Gonzalez Law Group. And he runs the criminal defense department, you know, here. But I mean, it's just, you know, every day working with my dad now and seeing him. And it's just, you know, it's a blessing. And you know, it's very, I'm very grateful to be able to work, you know, with my dad and learn from him. He's one of the hardest working guys. He's one of those guys who gets, you know, so many things done before 8 o'clock, you know, when everybody's starting their day. You know, he's one of those early risers and gets moving. But you know, we butt heads a little bit sometimes, but you know, every day we're always, you know, hugging it out, or you know, just you know, being cool. But he's so excited about this new building. You know, he goes there like every day. Even when I'm over there, like he's there, and my mom's there. You know, every little thing, you know, about the building that they're very excited about. But the same thing, like what Andrew was saying. I mean, with the COVID, like now we're having the restrooms change everything out, because you know, for the water, the soap dispenser, you know, the paper towels in the restrooms, and we've got the access control. We're doing the swipe cards because I was an option, you know, doing the push button, you know, for some of the doors what we're doing. I mean, this was really changing, you know, a lot. But you know, with my dad, you know, he's always wanted me to be a lawyer, and I didn't go that route, you know, for a while. But I think he's very proud, and you know, I love working with him. I mean, just you know, seeing him every
Congratulations.
day,
And I know he's
seeing him.
very proud of you too.
Yeah.
And so Andrew, I don't know if how, you can share one of your inspirational, or how your dad inspired you to do what you're doing, or any good stories you want to share.
well, I mean, I'm laughing because the story, I mean, Marco and I, it's parallel. I mean, obviously, I mean, my dad's no longer living, but I had the pleasure of working with him for 10 years. And again, he was a lone wolf. I mean, he was an immigrant, you know, and this is another thing where I think you know, I never knew until later on now in life about how he came over here with nothing from Greece. Uh, and you know, from selling cigarettes as a kid on the wharves in the Greek islands. and to come over here and to work his way up and really, you know, to an American dream. He became a successful, you know, individual land broker. When Houston was growing, he got into that business. Back then, a lot of Italian ethnic people owned a lot of real estate, and he was the go-to guy to be able to kind of represent various individuals that were in, you know, the oil business. You know, this is when Houston was first starting in the 50s, 60s. And anyhow, you know, growing up, you heard the stories, but now at my age and worked with him for 10 years and went out on my own, I was able to see how my dad appreciated me kind of doing my own thing. But we still, you know, he had to, you know, he wanted to come over to the office, see what I'm doing. You know, we'd go to lunch almost every day, you know, and he wanted to hear. So I could tell he was excited about the area that I was going into, because he did a little bit of development, but that wasn't his forte. He was strictly a broker. Me, I had more of an artistic vision, and he became to appreciate that, because that was a trait I had that he, you know, didn't do. But, you know, I guess the story is just kind of growing up and seeing how hard he worked. I mean, these guys like Marco, my dad, I mean, these guys didn't get anything given to them. And, you know, I feel real blessed for what he was able to do coming over here, providing, you know, for me and, you know, all my siblings. There's 7 kids. I mean, you just look back even every day, I think, my God, how did he do this? How did my mother do it? But again, my mom was there like Marco's mom was there. She was, you know, helping him, keeping him organized. You know, she went and did a few, you know, classes at the college. You know, they were, none of them finished college, but they were doing, you know, those, I guess, like back then you could go and do business little courses, like I guess at a, you know, like Houston Community College type. And, you know, built a business. And then, you know, I've taken that and you know, been growing it. And but it's funny, you know, you start having your own kids, you start, you know, reflecting how the hell people did this, and it really makes you appreciate the hard work. And, you know, which I'm going to plug this, I think more young people need to see that, you know, and understand that things aren't easy, you know, and you got to be, you know, if you could just do what you really like doing, it sounds like a cliche, but, you know, when you find what you really want to do, it is fun, you know, and hope.
It doesn't feel like work then.
You know, it's not. And I love what I do. I'm passionate every day. You know, do I have bumps in the road? Yes, but I like what I do. I like creating, and, you know, feel fortunate and blessed, and try to remember those things. So, but
well, great.
Anyhow.
Thank you. I wanted to, you know, close on those 2 stories, because I've gotten to know both of you, and I know how important family is to both of you, and how you're passionate about what you're doing. And it's just remarkable how during COVID-19, you, the East End economic development hasn't stopped, and you two are part of that reason why. So we wanted to thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your story. We're going to have this video on our website, so for others that didn't get to see it, they can. And we just wanted to thank you one more time. We wanted to also remind everybody that the East End has a East End Strong Facebook page that you can go on to and let people know of companies that you want us to support, especially during this time period. And then if you want to join us next Friday, we're going to have another great guest of joining us. So thank you very much, Marco. Thank you, Andrew. I wish you both a great weekend and a happy Father's Day in advance to both of you guys. I know it's this month.
Thank you for hosting this. And really, you know, you do a lot for the area, and thank you so much.
Yeah, well, we're very proud to work with you, Francis. Very Nice to meet you, Andrew. Hopefully we could do lunch, very
Yeah,
soon.
definitely. I'd love to, for
Pick your
sure.
brain, but Francis, I just enjoy being a part of the East End, to be able to meet people like, Andrew. And I mean, his story is inspiring me as well, too. Just getting the Friday off to a good start, okay,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
just
It
meeting
really is.
a lot of the other business owners in the East End chamber and working with them as well, too, has been a blessing. So thank you for everything that you do, Francis.
You're welcome. We're going to have grand openings at both of your buildings. So
Definitely. Yes.
we'll
we
let
want
everybody
to do
know
that.
when we can all come together again and,
Yep.
take tours at each other's buildings.
Yes, definitely.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. Well, thank you again so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll
Okay,
see
you
everybody
too.
next Friday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.